do I start? It's so much, you guys. I don't even know where to start at. I've always been the hairstylist that is very like, I love to talk and converse with my clients. And I was unknowingly talking to the enemy a lot of times. But I do believe that there were women that maybe he was not honest with that wanted to know like what was up with me, and so they were like, oh, I'm gonna get my hair done by her, is my assumption. I would never know who was who. Now, yes, towards the end they just started getting real bold, but I would never really know who was who. But I would come home from work and he may make a mention of something, and I would just be like, well, how the fuck does he know that? Like, and it was never nothing that was like a big deal, but it would just be like, okay, so clearly there's a mole somewhere, right? I started getting random like messages, and whoever it was, I don't know to this day if it was multiple people, if it was the same person, but whoever it was that would reach out, they would send me like screenshots and shit of like things that he was doing and posting and whatever. One day it was this girl, and you guys ever get like that gut feeling that it's just like, this is not a person that I want to be bothered with. This is not a person. I don't really like this person's energy, this person's vibe, whatever, but they come off nice as hell. That was this. She got her hair done by me a couple of times, and I don't look in clients' phones, but I remember her somehow like hinting to the fact that she knew him. And so it was one day where her and I were having a conversation, and she herself brought him up, and she was like, well, what's going on with blah 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 blah. And I made the mistake of telling her, like, I forgot what it was. It wasn't anything that was like, it wasn't like intimate information, but it had nothing to do with you. This is two married people's situation, you know? So I remember like, I looked down at her phone and she didn't have his number saved, but of course I knew the man. They were going back and forth. And let me just say that, like, of course, like, when you know better, you do better. I would never be put in a situation like that in this grown ass age. But there was a lot of things that I did myself a disservice of putting, like a lot of situations I put myself in that I didn't deserve to be in. The only reason why I deserved it is because I allowed it to happen. And so they were going back and forth, but there was a lot of like him complaining about me. And I think because she was in my chair, she was trying to play like advocate for me. But, you know, it just rubbed me the wrong way. So after that, like, I blocked her from booking. It wasn't a situation that I wanted to be a part of. Clearly, you're more a piss friend than mine. I'm cool. But it just bothered me from the fact of, like, I let you close to me and you ended up being a snake. Another situation was I moved to this, like, suburb kind of far away. And where I lived at that particular time, I could travel to the next city. So one particular day, it was this young lady, and her mom and one of my aunties are really good friends. So the girl would always ask, like, oh, who does good weaves, yada yada yada, or I want this person to do my hair, whatever. And for whatever reason, like, our paths just never crossed, our schedules never worked together. And so one day she was finally able to get an appointment. She ended up being really cool, but out of nowhere, we were just talking and conversing, and she ended up asking me, like, oh, isn't your husband such and such? And of course, I immediately shut down. Like, I shut down, you know, now I don't want to talk to you about nothing because I don't know what your intentions are. I don't know, you know, and I hate to say it, but every woman that I've met that knows him, they know him. So once you get to doing that and you already know the situation, it's just like, why would you even like, nah, I'm cool. So I remember doing her hair, and her and I were talking, and I shot him a text message and said, guess whose house I'm at and who just asked me about you? And he was like, who? So I tell him the name, and he said, how did that happen? If you know that I am I'm not gonna call myself like the most known, especially at that time, but I was known enough. If you knew that, you wouldn't be asking me how I ended up doing this girl hair unless it's some shit that you know that you're not telling me. So I just responded like, oh, we got the same auntie. He was like, oh, okay. So I remember I did her hair, and he was like, okay, well, call me when you make it back to the house. So I make it back home. I call him, like, I'm like, what's up? He's like, oh, yeah, well, before she tells you, I'm going to just let you know that, like, we used to mess around back in the day. And I remember telling him, like, look, dude, like, I don't be knowing who's in my chair, and you've already done so much fuck shit that I don't know who is what and whatever. So when he told me that, I was really upset because You put me in a situation where I'm in this girl's house. Do you know how many side chicks take the wife or the girlfriend out for whatever reason? I'm in this girl's house. She could have easily been like, oh yeah, she threatened me and I had to unlive this bitch. You never know. You just never freaking know. Like, and you're running around here being reckless among other things. And you're putting me in situations where, like, hair is everything to me, y'all. Like, I love what I do. I really do love what I do. But now you got me paranoid as fuck. And you're taking my love out of my craft because I don't know who's sitting in my chair. You know, like, and it was a bunch of other situations. I'm talking about people was hitting me up on my business page. People were leaving like emojis and shit like under my stuff. Like, I'm telling you, even when I got in my relationship that I'm in now, I was still being harassed by his minions. And it was just disappointing. Like, you know, this is what I will say, because I think that, like I said, I've never publicly spoken on this. And I'm sure that there's still a couple of them that watch me. I feel sorry for any woman that takes pride and joy in hurting another woman, because we've all been there. I am not that kind of woman. I would never laugh at another woman's pain, especially pain that I inflicted on someone that never did anything to me. I forgive you, you know, but I really do feel sorry for those that don't see their worth, and this is the value that they find in themselves. I had somebody a couple of years ago. We took like Christmas / maternity pictures when I was pregnant with my daughter, and some female, I'm not gonna call nobody out their name, but somebody jumped in my dude's inbox and was like, oh, y'all together? Because they so used to being messy about this one. Now this has been like it's been like 7 years, 6 years. Yeah, something like that. What is this, 2022? Yeah. So it's been like 6 years since I've been out of that situation. But they still trickle. And it's like, bro, I also had somebody hit me up on my business page, reaching out to me, trying to tell me about like what he was up to, and oh, you know, we don't get along, we argue a lot about you. Ma'am, I left that situation. I don't got nothing to do with that. I swear to God, anybody that knows me knows all I want to do is do hair and take care of my babies and inspire everybody else around me to do better and sow into the people around me. I always say God put me on this earth to love the people around me. I don't do anything else, you know. But I just say that to say that, like, you know, you cannot get comfortable with everybody. Yes, we work in a business where, you know, we do become our clients like friends. But this is where, like I spoke about in previous videos about setting boundaries. You know, certain conversations ain't to be had. You know, like if you feel like someone's a little too invested in your situation, it's probably because they are. You know, if you feel like somebody, for me, I'm telling you, I had PTSD so bad that I like became a mute. I would not talk to people. People really thought I had an attitude, when in reality it wasn't that I had an attitude. I was paranoid. Like I was dumbass paranoid. Like I didn't know who was in my chair. I didn't know who I was talking to. After it was, hey, hi, do you want a side or a middle part? I really didn't have nothing else to say. Or I would talk to like the men in the shop. Like I was uber uncomfortable. You know, like, and it hurt my feelings because, like I said, I really love what I do. I'm not the hairstylist that like be like, okay, sit down, don't talk to me, just get your hair done. And I had to heal from that situation, because when I tell you, like, everybody in my head was the enemy, everybody in my head became the enemy. You know, even now, I got certain clients that I do talk to, but even like, if I do speak on anything in regards to even like my current situation, it's based on like oh, well, I went through that same thing and let me tell y'all how we got through this. And it's still got to be one of those things that's not too like invasive, you know. There are people out here, and I know I always speak on it from a business perspective because, you know, this is what I do for a living. This is like my everyday. But there are people out there that are so not willing to fix what's going on in their lives that they would rather just inflict their pain onto the next person. And when you get around them people, you know, it's okay to get away from them. It's okay to break up with those kind of clients. We are supposed to enjoy our service. If I feel like you're being catty with me, if I feel like you're being funky with me, if I feel like you're being shady, what have you, like, I'm going to give you the best service that I've ever given you, and I'm going to block you. Anybody brings up that situation, like, bro, that was 6 years ago. You're on to something. You're trying to be funky. I'm going to block you. I will talk to y'all later. Bye.